Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, and welcome to Sports Scene, your weekly destination for radio excellence right here every Wednesday, 12 to 1. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. With Joe Daniel Gutierrez right here producing each and every Wednesday, 12 to 1. Also, Sports Scene can be archived on GJBTV.com by going to the YouTube link for past shows. We'll be talking to Jay Paterno in a little bit later. Sonny Dearth will join us at the top of the hour. Sports Scene every Wednesday, 12 to 1. Also, sports highlights on nnpstv.com. As well, for our September issue, we'll focus on the Hampton University Excellent Lacrosse Program, brand new program. Of course, football season is here. Tell your friends about 1650 on Twitter, at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, GJBTV, HROnlineMall.com, WHKT AM 1650. Thank you to our military. Great guest lineup. Jay Paterno will join us, the son of the legendary former football coach at Penn State, Joe Paterno, Sonny Dearth, Gina Ippolito. Sponsors on Hampton Roads, OnlineMall.com, and also GJBTV.com. Guest lineup presented by Mi Casita Mexican Restaurant with two great locations in Virginia Beach. You can see their link on Hampton Roads, OnlineMall.com. Phone line presented by Newcastle. Sponsors in August, Fink's Car Care, Spaghetti Eddie's, Long's Billiards, Newcastle Crawl Space. And want to welcome the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition starting tomorrow. You just heard it just momentarily. There are big events coming up October 20th through the 22nd. For more, go to newportnewsgreekfestival.org, an indoor event. College football, high school football going on. NFL last week of preseason. In fact, Joe Daniel, the Redskins in Tampa Bay got to play tonight a day earlier because of all the weather issues in Tampa. Weather can wreak havoc.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good that they're able to play tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. A day early, so that's really good. Get it kind of done before their big game on September the 12th against the Steelers. Politics as usual going on. NASCAR in Richmond Beach. Weather is still pretty good. Fishing, all excellent. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary, what teased me off. We'll have testimonials and, of course, a lot more in Sports Scene right here. Greg Bicouvaris with you on 1650 AM, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or computer. Stay tuned.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today.
People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
The place to go for U.S. rare coins is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. and silver and gold coins and provide free verbal offers and are always buying U.S. rare coins. Newcastle Coins and Collectibles, 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, open Tuesday through Saturday and always online at newcastlecollectibles.com. Call 757-609-3633, 757-609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles. Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene on 1650 AM and tunein.com.
All right, welcome back live right here to Sports Scene on the radio, online, tunein.com, type in WHKT, the only remaining show from the game in Virginia Beach. Of course, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. Sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Our first high school football game will be Menchville and Heritage. We're taping that September 16th. Regular on radio and TV with me since 1988. Let's welcome Sonny Dearth from dailypress.com. How are you, Sonny?
Excellent. Thanks. Great to be on, Greg.
Sonny, what a week. So much going on from the race in Richmond next week. You got, of course, the next couple of weeks, you got high school football, college football, the Redskins playing a day early because of the weather, the U.S. Open. I mean, it's just a lot going on. Great time of the year.
It sure is. Pretty much something for everyone, every sports fan.
Well, let's start off with college football real quick. Virginia and Virginia Tech, for the first time in quite some time, both will be having brand new coaches this weekend.
Yeah, I believe it's since 1974, the first time that both programs changed in the same year. And it's going to be pretty jarring to see anybody other than Frank Beamer on the Tech sideline. Both teams look like they will be up-tempo, and they should be in excellent physical condition, and they'll try to wear opponents down.
Right, and of course, UVA, of course, has their game against Richmond this weekend, too. And Richmond is always a solid, pretty much 1AA postseason team.
This year they might be more than solid. They got to the semifinals last season. They're ranked number 4 in preseason. They returned an excellent quarterback in Kyle Lauletta, excellent receivers in Brian Brown. So for an FCS team, that's a darn good one, and the Cavaliers had better be ready to play.
It seems like Mendenhall, though, Sonny, from his BYU roots, has really instilled discipline during the offseason.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's really remarkable. One of the more interesting transformations I've ever seen.
Right. Talking to Sonny Dearth from thedailypress.com. Jay Paterno will join us in just a few moments. Looking forward to that, talking what it's been like the last 5 years without football for him personally and his family. Sonny, let's talk about the NFL. Redskins, of course, right now what's going on with the NFL, a lot of cuts will be going on this week to get to that 53-man roster. That's never easy for a coaching staff.
Oh, no, not at all. A lot of these guys may latch on somewhere else. It's a tough position. Two teams who will definitely be scanning the waiver wire for quarterbacks are the Cowboys and the Vikings. The Cowboys need a veteran to help Dak Prescott, and the Vikings might need a starting caliber guy to replace Teddy Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing about the injuries, and Harbaugh from the Ravens said that recently, that he's got issues with preseason. Preseason, you really never win because the games don't count. Do you really need 4 games? He said this is not the 1970s. He was kind of bitter because the Ravens really have had a lot of issues during the preseason.
Yeah, it's sometimes I wonder why they even play more than, say, 2.
Yes. Talking to Sonny Dearth right here. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us live right here on the radio. And, of course, high school football, college, professional, also U.S. Open in tennis, Sonny. That's always a lot of fun in New York. And, of course, Serena Williams will be going for another Grand Slam.
Yeah, she's trying to break that tie with Steffi Graf. And, her arm was giving her problems earlier this summer, especially in Rio. But she looked pretty good last night against Katerina Makarova.
Mm-hmm. How about for the men? Who do you like in the men?
I'm going with Andy Murray. The way he's played all summer, he looks like the best player in the world right now. Djokovic is still ranked number 1 and Sia number 1, but Murray has been better the last few months.
Talking to Sonny Dearth right here from thedailypress.com on 1650. This is Sports Scene every Wednesday, 12 to 1. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. Let's switch a little bit to some of the stuff going off the field. I guess the biggest thing, Sonny, was the Colin Kaepernick thing, and that was just he's gotten a lot of cons as far as negative stuff there. I guess he wanted to bring awareness. A lot of people said that's not the time, though, to bring awareness, but I'm a firm believer in to each his own. I don't agree with Kaepernick, but we don't need to crucify the guy. I mean, what do you think?
He absolutely has a right to do it if he's willing to put up with some of the people who aren't going to like it. But it's certainly a form of nonviolent protest. I remember thinking that Martin Luther King probably would approve.
Yeah, the one thing, though, that he has to face that he normally wouldn't have faced 10 years ago is the Twitter backlash. And let's say this is the pre-internet, like 1990, he would the only way people could have gotten a hold of him was maybe by snail mail. Those days are long gone now, as everybody's got access to everybody on Twitter.
That's true. That's one of the things he has to consider when he does this.
Right.
But he says he's willing to take it, so more power to him.
All right, as we get closer and closer to Election Day, Trump and Clinton, you also cover news as well for the Daily Press. You see Trump is meeting with the Mexican president. I guess he's trying to make a stance there. What are your thoughts about that?
It's rather ironic after some of the things he has described Mexicans as that he's getting an audience today.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a brand new leadership in Mexico, and I'm kind of glad they're getting together. And of course, we'll see what happens as it gets closer and closer to election time. And Sonny, what do you look for? What are you looking for? We finish up with the Redskins since they're playing tonight. That the Redskins need to focus on more in 2016. It seems like their running game and their line are going to be going hand in hand. Looks like the receivers are pretty good. The safeties, defensive backs, but the running game is going to be could be some issues there.
I'd say they're pretty set at everything except figuring out who the number one who the number one running back's going to be. Probably will be Matt Jones, but he's not going to play tonight just because of his shoulder injury.
Right.
This will give a chance to some younger guys to step up, see what they can do.
Yeah, they're not going to risk it out in this weather as all. Sonny, thanks a lot. Best of luck to you and all your tennis endeavors and covering sports and news both for thedailypress.com. Go ahead and plug your Twitter handle.
S is in Stephen, D is in David, and Earth, like the planet Earth, at Esther.
Very good. Sonny, all the best to you. Have a good rest of the Wednesday there.
All right, thank you.
All right, Sonny Dearth right there from the Daily Press. And that's one thing, too, Joe Daniel, like when the weather plays a factor in sports, especially for a preseason game that doesn't mean anything, the last thing a coach wants to do is risk his first-string team to go out there and get injured on a bad field.
Absolutely. It's kind of, I don't know, a catch-22 because you want to put them out there, you want to have them practice, but at the same time, you don't want to put them out there because it's a high risk.
All right, stay tuned. We'll come back with more Sports Scene after these messages.
U.S. Rare Coins is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. and silver and gold coins and provide free verbal offers and are always buying U.S. Rare Coins. Newcastle Coins and Collectibles, 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, open Tuesday through Saturday and always online at newcastlecollectibles.com. Call 757-609-3633, 757-609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet. Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedoors.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Hi, this is Greg Bicouvaris inviting you to join me for Sports Scene live each Wednesday from noon to 1 right here on News Talk 1650 and TuneIn.com by typing WHKT in the search box. Excellent guests and interaction at Greg Bick on Twitter, all powered by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Sports Scene each Wednesday from noon to 1 right here on News Talk 1650.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today.
All right, welcome back live right here to Sports Scene on this very hot, muggy August 31st, 2016. The names are legendary, folks. Fusina, Blackledge, Collins, McGloin, Derek Williams, Michael Robinson, Warner, Harris, Capoletti, Cephalo, Gash, Enos, Dozier, some of the men that the late Joe Paterno coached. And it's a pleasure to talk to his son, who has some Virginia roots. That was a graduate assistant at Virginia, also spent some time at James Madison. Let's welcome Jay Paterno to Sports Scene. How are you, Jay?
Good. How about you guys?
Good, my friend. It's football season, and I got to ask you, what's it been like for you, kind of away from football the last 5 years? But you've been busy with kind of like politics in your book, and you've definitely been multitasking. That's for sure.
No question. But you know what? Every August comes around, and it does pull at me a little bit. The itch is still there, and it's never really going to go away. And once we get through some of these litigation things in the next couple months, or hopefully sooner than that even, then I think that door will open up again, and we'll hopefully get back into coaching.
Well, before we start the interview, I know one of the last things, and of course I have the utmost respect for your father, was one of the last things he wanted to do with your mom, I believe, Jay, was come down here to Virginia Beach and spend a few days to get away. Was that true?
They were on their honeymoon originally, but my dad proposed to my mom. He said, "Oh, we'll go to Europe for a couple of weeks," and then it was, "Well, maybe we'll go to Bermuda," and then it was, "Well, that's the middle of recruiting, so we'll go down to Williamsburg." And they went down to Williamsburg. This was in 1962, and they had just awful weather because I guess a tropical storm had blown through, so the beach was all messed up. But they went to Williamsburg, went to Virginia Beach. So yeah, he had planned to go back down there for old time's sake.
Yeah, Joe was the assistant from 1950 to 65, head coach from 66 to 2011, probably the most famous name in football in the 20th century. And one thing, too, that your father did was consistency with his staff, consistency with the players, the uniforms. I tell you, Jay, every time you turn on a college football team, you never know what uniform they're going to be on. And it's legendary, some of the things that him and Spider, the equipment manager, used to kind of joke with. And toward the end of your dad's tenure there, they had like a little blue on the V-neck, and your dad said, just go back to what we did back in the 70s with Capoletti. And that was just the model of consistency.
Yeah, that was a radical change for us, was getting rid of just the trim on the sleeves. So it was just completely solid. But, the point you make is you turn on the TV every week and you don't know who's playing.
Right.
And that was the great thing about Penn State. Or if you look at Alabama, doesn't change their uniforms. USC, by and large, doesn't change their uniforms. And Michigan, they've gone to where they're not going to have any alternate uniforms. I think that's great. That's what it should be. But that's me. I'm old school. But that said, all these schools doing it, what does everybody say? Oh, they're like Oregon. Oh, they're like Oregon. And you go, yeah, you know what? You never become a leader by following the trends. Mm-hmm. And that's how I always feel. No one is ever going to out-Oregon. So I always agree with that. I thought it was just great that we kept our uniforms the way they are.
Talking to Jay Paterno, the son of the late Joe Paterno. And your dad always came down to Hampton Roads a lot. Of course, we have mutual friends, you and I do, with Paul Macklin. His son David played for you, as well as Keith Goganis, and, of course, DJ Dozier's from down this area. So there's a lot of great history and roots from the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads, Newport News area that went to Penn State.
Yeah, Virginia has always been one of those places we felt was very important. Darren Perry's another guy who's an All-American safety for us from down there. We considered that really kind of home territory in terms of recruiting. And you look at the number of talented guys that have come out of there over the years, there's no question that's a vital area. And a lot of recruiting battles over the years with UVA and Virginia Tech and UNC and just about every school in the country goes in there. So, yeah, there's no question you're in the middle of some of the best talent. I remember when I first got to UVA, Terry Kirby and Chris Slade were there, and they were both from Tab down that way. And, usually the best players in our team were from there. And then we even went into Richmond to get guys like Michael Robinson as well. So, we felt like it was a great place for us.
And your dad gave him the opportunity to play quarterback. That's a good point, too, because in my opinion, I want to get your opinion about this, too, the best quarterback I've seen at Penn State in my lifetime, and you and I are about the same age, is Chuck Fusina. Big difference between Fusina, Blackledge, Collins, to a guy like Michael Robinson. How did your dad react to that at that point?
Well, one of the things that people don't realize is back in 1971, he had a guy, John Huffnagel, ended up playing about 13 or 14 years, some in the NFL and some in the Canadian League. And John Huffnagel was a very mobile quarterback. So that was not something new for us. We had mobile quarterbacks in even in 2000, 2002, Mike Robinson in 2005. So it wasn't one of the things that Joe Paterno always knew how to do is he knew how to use the talent he had on the field to the best of his ability, the best way possible. So, we weren't married into we're always going to be this type of offense. We're going to be married into this is what we have, and this is how we're going to best be able to move the football and win games. So Michael Robinson, it wasn't a real big adjustment for him. And, when everybody started going to the spread stuff, everybody talks about the spread offense now, and we were doing some of that stuff as far back as 2000, 2002. And a lot of that spread offense had its roots in this, Houston, University of Houston back in the 70s ran a split back veer. So, everybody thinks it's all new in college football, but when you look at it, there's only 11 guys on offense, there's only 11 guys on defense. There's only so many combinations, and chances are somebody's done it somewhere.
Talking to Jay Paterno live right here on Sports Scene. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. This will be archived on gjbtv.com by hitting the YouTube link later today. We're live on TuneIn as well. TuneIn.com, type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer, and all over Hampton Roads on 1650 AM. And you talk about, the Big Ten titles. You guys won 3 when your dad was there, but your dad always played Woody Hayes in Ohio State well before Penn State became a Big Ten team. I remember the game, I believe in 78, when Fusina went against a young freshman Schleister, and you guys shut him out that game.
Yeah, that was 78, and Schleister was a very, very tight recruiting battle between Penn State and Ohio State. And Schleister's from, I think, Washington Courthouse, I think was a town just south of Columbus. And my dad told a story about he went out to see Schleister play basketball, and the place was packed, and he pulled up, and he asked the police officer where he should park. And he was fairly close to school, and the police officer said, "Wait a minute, you're Joe Paterno, right?" He said, "Yeah." And my dad thought, "Oh, great, I'll get a good space." And he said, "Coach, you can park your ass about 2 miles down the road. We don't want you here." And he was kidding, but I mean that was how tough that recruiting battle was. And he did end up going to Ohio State, but we did shut him out in that game. And then we played him again 2 years later in the Fiesta Bowl. And beat him again, but he was really a talented guy.
Yeah, you talk about Ohio State, too, back then, and your dad had the utmost respect for Woody Hayes because, Ohio State used to come back and play Penn State in the 70s as well. Right. That Ohio State did not throw the ball a lot till Schleister got there, where your dad always had, in my opinion, like I said, the 2 best quarterbacks you've seen in Blackledge that could throw. And even in the 70s, Jay, when it wasn't popular, when you had Capoletti and Franco Harris there in the late 60s, too.
Yeah, in fact, here's a question that'll make you a lot of money at a bar in trivia.
Sure.
In 1982, Penn State did 2 things. Number one, they were the first team ever to win the national championship while playing the nation's toughest schedule. But this is the one that'll shock you. Penn State in 1982 was also the first team ever to win the national title, throwing for more yards than they ran for offensively.
Wow.
And that's something that as late as 1982, that was one of those things that people just didn't do. Now, keep in mind, I think the yardage was like 2,300 passing and 2,200 running, but still, it was the first team to actually throw for more yards than they ran for and win a national championship.
Right. They won the Sugar Bowl in 82 and, of course, the Fiesta in 86 as well. And I still remember that game. I remember Giftopoulos on TV, and that was really, I grew up watching Capoletti as a kid, but that 86 team that won the national championship had Giftopoulos on the team. You were part of that as well. Were you surprised that he did not make it big in the NFL, Jay?
Not really. I mean, when you look at the talent on that Penn State team, that was not the most talented defense we ever had by a long way. Mm-hmm. But it was a great group of guys that were smart football players, that were tough, and really played the game with an attitude. I mean, they were just a mean football team. And I can remember, the Miami guys laughing in pregame, but the look of determination pregame and the environment in that game, it was, you knew this was going to be it was going to just be a matter of who I set out first, and Miami did. Their guys dropped a lot of balls. They were looking around. They were getting hit, and they got intimidated a little bit. And so, it didn't surprise me that a lot of those guys didn't make it to pros. But that said, Shane Conlon was probably as good a linebacker as has ever played at Penn State. And there were some other guys that were awfully good too, but it was that still ranks as one of the great games, and in fact still ranks as the highest rated college football telecasts in history and the most watched college football telecasts in history.
Yeah, that's including with cable TV. Of course, the internet's changed everything since since that time as well. Talking to Jay Paterno, how much when you and your dad had private talks, of course, he always preached to you and your brothers and sisters about consistency, about showing up, about having a good attitude, good work ethic as well. Because I mean, whether it was the uniforms or the staff or the players, everything was always consistent. I know your dad liked a lot of pasta. I know he liked a little bourbon too, didn't he, Jay?
Yeah, he was an old granddad, but and he was pretty consistent with that. But everything about it was consistency. He said, you can go through good times and bad times, but if your ethics and your values and your morals are consistent, and your effort is consistent, that over time you're always going to come out ahead. And we had a couple down years early in 2000s, but he never panicked. He never said, "Hey, we've got to change everything we do." He stayed to the things that made us good, made us, we rebuilt our defense in 2002 and 3 and 4 and became a much better football team that way. And that's how we really improved over those couple of years. And then the offense finally caught up in 2005, and we got back to where we were. And when you look at the last 7 years of his career, we were we had the sixth best record in the country, and we were the only team in the country that graduated over 80% of our guys and won over 77% of our games. The only one, and it's not even close. So the consistency that he started his career with was very similar to the consistency that he ended his career with.
Right, and of course your dad had a full life with your mom and the kids and the grandkids and everything, and always had a good time. Very traditional family. I guess the only sad part was he talked about Bear Bryant a lot, and then Bear Bryant pretty much passed after he coached, and your dad unfortunately did as well. But your dad did live a very full life on and off the field.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, he said, when we found out he had lung cancer in November of 2011, we didn't think it didn't look like it was going to be that bad, and then it got bad. But I remember at his birthday, his 85th birthday in December that year, he said, "Look, what have I got to complain about? I've lived 85 years. I've got 5 kids that are healthy, and I've got 17 healthy grandkids. So, I've had a much better life than I could have ever imagined." So, he wasn't a guy that ever complained about anything. And would I have liked him to still be around? Yeah, but, you can't complain when your father lives to be 85.
No question.
Young people dying of cancer is tragic, but, a guy lived to be 85 and had a run like he did. And he did so many things so many interests outside of football, intellectually, and, even with politics. And here's a guy that met, 6 or 7 presidents and was at state dinners at the White House and got to see a lot of neat things in his lifetime. So, he was never one that was going to complain.
A few more minutes with Jay Paterno. Glad you're with us for your time, talent, and your treasure. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us live on Sports Scene. And is it coming back to normal now for your mom? I mean, she's a wonderful, wonderful human being. The last few years, is it coming back to normal for your mom, for the most part? And how involved are you guys going to Penn State games now? Do you kind of keep your distance, or you kind of watch from afar?
Well, I go to all the home games. I don't really travel to the away ones because now with 5 kids and not be involved in coaching, I better take advantage of it in case I get back into coaching. But I've tried to keep my nose out of it. I don't want to be one of those guys that's telling everybody what they should do and shouldn't do. But I tape a segment on a weekly Penn State show now, and I break down games and films. So that's kind of fun. I write a column every 2 weeks. So, like you said, I'm doing a lot of different things. So I'm still around it. But again, I try to always keep it with perspective that when I was coaching, I didn't want people didn't know what they were talking about to tell me how I should do my job. So I didn't want to be that guy. So I've kind of stayed away from that part of it.
And that's the remarkable thing too about your dad. I mean, he was, he had George Welsh as his assistant from 63 to 72, but yet he evolved with the young kids in the 21st century. And of course, he always evolved. That was the key to your dad. He always evolved.
Oh, there's no question. I think the thing that people don't realize, I think people, whether it's in coaching or whether it's education, whatever, they don't realize, it doesn't matter. You look at human nature throughout history, it hasn't changed much. And as he said, look, they've got smartphones and they've got social media and they've got all these things, but deep down, they still want the same things that young people have always wanted. They want some direction. They want people to challenge them. They want people to test them and give them goals to reach for. And, he always found a way to articulate what the goals were and what the plan was and what the values and ethics and the bedrock foundations of the program were. And we always found young people responded well to that, no matter what technology did or no matter how the world changed. They still wanted to compete. They still wanted to do their best on and off the field, and they still wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves and something they could be proud of. And so, in that regard, he never lost touch with young people.
Right.
And I think you look around at programs now, and coaches are so wrapped up in the recruiting part of it and pandering to 17-year-olds and trying to be liked rather than trying to be leaders. And I think that's what set Joe apart, even up to his last years.
Well, I'm glad the current coach got back to the tradition of taking the names off the back of the jersey, because a lot of Penn State alumni and a lot of former players did not like that at all.
No, I count me among them, and I understand why they felt like they had to do it a couple of years ago, but I totally disagree with it anyway. I just felt like that was a cop-out.
Yeah.
Because that uniform, there's still a Big Ten logo on the front. I'd like to rip that off.
Yeah.
And there's a Nittany Lion logo in the V of the neck. I'd like to get rid of that as well. But, it's not my call anymore, and that's the way the world is.
I want to talk a little politics with you and about your book, too. Just a few moments. Give us some insight to the Penn State fans out there listening, or just football fans in general, about, we mentioned the consistency, but how about the road? Because I remember we talked to Ray Savage, who played for one of your dad's assistants, George Welsh, who you work for as well, that they keep the same meals on the road. Virginia, of course, was very similar to Penn State. They played them after Welsh was there as well. You remember that game in 2001. But the road trips, were the meals pretty much the same? Did your dad have a routine on the road as well, even during bowl games?
Absolutely. I mean, it was and I think that's one of the things that you have to do. You have to create as much certainty on the road as you can. You want them to know that when they get off the plane, this is what they do next, this is what they do next, this is what they do next. Because at home, they know exactly what's coming, they know what the stadium is going to be like and all that kind of stuff. But we wanted them to understand that this is the way. We always traveled in coats and ties on the road, players as well. Everybody always knew they had to be 5 or 10 minutes early for the bus, or they might get left behind. They knew what was expected. They knew what the meeting routine was going to be like. And when I coached at UVA, it was very familiar that way, and almost identical. So that was an easy transition for me. But I think it's important when you travel on the road to have that consistency.
All right, a little bit about the schedule this year. They take on Kent State this week. Your dad's team's always played Pitt and Temple. And I remember, even your last year, your dad was there in 11. He could still remember, Jay, the 1950 Temple game. Unbelievable if you see some of those YouTube videos. Oh,
there's no question about it. And, some of the schedule this year is very familiar because they're playing Pitt, they're playing Temple, now Maryland and Rutgers are in the Big Ten. So there's 4 teams that we used to play all the time. And somebody was asking me about, how do you think your dad would do against this schedule? And I said, well, I can tell you, those 4 teams, he was 92-8-1 over his career, so I think he would do pretty well against them. Yeah. So, we never lost to Temple, never lost to Maryland, lost to Rutgers once in all those years, and I think it was 23-7-1 against Pitt. So, when you're 23-7-1 against your in-state rival that you end the season with, that's a pretty good run. And, if you were UVA and someone said the next 31 games you're going to be 23-7-1 against Virginia Tech, I think everybody would take that.
When he had a quarterback, though, like you've seen in Blackledge, was he more relaxed at home back then when you were a kid, that he could tell your mom, hey, at least we got, a really mature, good adult kid right there? If you've seen in Blackledge, it seemed like as good as those two were, the entire team took their mode. And, of course, you had Warner as a great running back then, too.
Well, I think the big thing was he always wanted to have a great defense. And if he had a great defense, he always felt like he was okay because he could stay in the game and win it in the fourth quarter. And then if you had a quarterback that didn't turn the ball over, then that was number 2. And then if you had a quarterback that could make some things happen, that was third. So he always wanted to have that, the ability to be in the game in the fourth quarter. Even the last year he coached up until he was fired, we were 8-1, and we had won a couple of games in the fourth quarter where we were in the game, and then when it came time to win the game, it was Iowa we did it against. We did it against Illinois in his last game. Temple that year was 9-4. They had a good team. We beat them in the fourth quarter, even though we made some mistakes early. So that pattern worked out really well for him. And when you look at Ohio State when they had Jim Tressel, it was very, very similar style.
All right, a few things about politics. I remember in '88, I believe your dad was, obviously a staunch Republican. I believe you're a Democrat, if I'm not mistaken. I voted both parties, but I remember he really was campaigning hard for, I believe, Bush against Dukakis. Wasn't he at one of the conventions back then, Jay?
Yeah, he seconded George H.W. Bush's, who was then the vice president, nomination at the Republican National Convention in New Orleans. And my dad was, people say he was a staunch Republican. He was a very, very moderate Republican. He was a George H.W. Bush type Republican. And I think, when you look at what's going on now, there's no question in my mind that he would not like some of the rhetoric that's out there right now, coming from both sides.
Right.
He was a guy that believed that, look, nobody has he would tell me at times, nobody has a monopoly on all the good ideas, and he'd say nobody really has cornered the market on all the answers. And even after when Obama got elected, a bunch of us, about a year and a half after Obama became president, it was about a year later, another assistant coach said something to me about Obama, about your president this, and my dad looked at me and said, "Hey, he's our president.
Right.
We got to hope he does well for all of us, because when the president's successful, we're all successful." And he was that way. It didn't matter who was president; he was always pulled behind him. So in that regard, he was kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah, but you got to stay neutral no matter what. And I got to ask you, it's football season now, but I got to tell you, until this election's over with, I mean, people are watching CNN and Fox News Channel more than some of these games right now. It's unbelievable what's going on because Trump is so untraditional,
Well, it's getting to the point where it's annoying because, you can't, where do I find any news that's not related to Trump or Clinton? I mean, I want to sit down and watch. There's an earthquake in Italy. I want to see some about it, or I want to hear about what's coming up on what. There's other news out there. There's other things going on in the world besides this election, but you'd never know it watching TV.
Right. Well, talk about your book and your Twitter handles, and I appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. Thanks.
Oh, go ahead, Jay. You want to go and plug your book? You want to go and plug any books that you're talking about?
Oh, you want me to talk?
Yeah.
I thought you said, well, I wrote a book called Paterno Legacy, and it's out in paperback. It's gone through 4 printings, and it's done really, really well. And I think the thing people will find in the book is that it's not just a football book. It's not just a book about the last couple of months of my dad's life. It talks about the lessons that I learned from him throughout my entire life. And there's a lot of things in there, whether you're a father, whether you're running a business, whether you're coaching, whether you are, doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, there are things that people can take from the book that will really help you. I mean, it's called Paterno Legacy, Enduring Lessons from the Life and Death of My Father. And there are things that he taught me that have carried me through even after he's been gone. So that part of it, I think it's a book that's for people well beyond football fans.
And I think people realize, too, when you're somewhere for 62 years, having a great mark like your father did, you're going to have some bad seeds and bad apples. Could be players, could be coaches. I don't care what business, what part of the country, what part of the world, people have issues. Nobody can look at themselves in the mirror and say, oh, I'm better than that. Because you know what? They're not. We've all had some type of bad seeds in our lives.
Oh, there's no question. The thing people don't realize is if we become in the media very, very, very quick to judge and to rush to judgment, because that's what the media market demands now. There has to be certainty almost immediately. So the pressure now and the financial incentive, whether you're Fox News or CNN or ABC, NBC, CBS, the pressure on and the financial incentives are to be first rather than right. And so that's certainly what happened in the case of this story, and certainly it's happened in the case of a lot of other stories, and it's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in right now.
Yep. Jay, all the best to you and your family. Good luck to Penn State this fall. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we can talk to you again down the road.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks.
My pleasure. All right, Jay Paterno right there, the son of the legendary Joe Paterno, live and exclusive right here on Sports Scene. Of course, he didn't hold nothing back. He could have said no to a million other radio stations. He said yes to me. He said yes to this station. He was transparent. He was honest. He was open, and he told it like it was. You got to respect that from the son of the late Joe Paterno. Jay Paterno, live right here on TuneIn.com and also 1650. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages. People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, This fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddie'sPizzaCafe.com.
The place to go for U.S. rare coins is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. and silver and gold coins and provide free verbal offers and are always buying U.S. rare coins. Newcastle Coins and Collectibles, 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, open Tuesday through Saturday and always online at NewcastleCollectibles.com. Call 757-609-3633, 757-609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Long's Billiards in Newport News is having a massive sale. 7, 8, even 9-foot tables are at an all-time low price, including Connolly, Brunswick, and Olhausen. 1,000 pool cues in stock are up to 30, 40, even 50% off. Over 100 pool tables also on sale. When gone, they're gone forever. Log on to longsbilliards.com. Call 599-3661 and visit them at 9906 Warwick Boulevard. Major clearance prices going on now at Long's Billiards.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email the show, bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
And I want to thank Jay Paterno right there, talking football right there about Penn State and the legacy and the before and after, the issues, and of course all the good, bad, and stuff happens in daily life as well. This is Sports Scene every Wednesday 12 to 1. Go to gjbtv.com, hit the YouTube link for archive shows. You can see all my Twitter handles on the homepage of gjbtv.com. All the locals and tourists, go to HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. That's HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Take a look at the homepage, the coupons, marketplace, services, retail, and restaurants. Bookmark it, HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Of course, a lot of stuff going on. The Redskins playing their final preseason game tonight against Tampa Bay. Buffalo Wild Wings Fantasy Draft Party. Be part of it. Get ready for an exciting NFL 2016 season. 8 or more in your group. Draft kit, NFL swag, coupons, and much more. Contact management there. Don't hesitate. This is the place for fantasy football. Peninsula Town Center, Buffalo Wild Wings in Hampton, Virginia. First regular season game coming up a week from tomorrow. Wings Beer Sports at Buffalo Wild Wings in Hampton. Give them a call at 826-4809. Open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, late night. 4201 Kilgore Avenue in Hampton at the Peninsula Town Center. Limited space available for your fantasy draft party at Buffalo Wild Wings. You need a place to sleep at night. Go to Mattress Air Foam Water. They take your sleep seriously. Go by and see John and the friendly staff in the Denby section at 14501 Warwick Boulevard. Of course, see their link on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Half price of Sleep Number, Digital Air Mattress, Savvy Latex Mattress. Always a super place to go to is Mattress Air Foam Water in the Denby section of Newport News. Open for you. All right. Exciting times. It's coming up. Not quite fall yet, but we're getting there. Right around the corner is October 1st. Smithfield Events, VA.com, Bacon, Bourbon, and Beach Music Festival. Let's welcome a regular, Gina Ippolito. How are you, Gina?
I'm doing good, Greg. How are you?
Hard to believe it's almost here, a month from tomorrow.
I know. I can't believe it. Summer's gone by so quickly, and I know it seems crazy to think that fall is here, but it is. So.
You would never know it by the hot weather outside, but let's go ahead and talk. Go ahead and plug your website, Facebook, and Twitter before we start.
Our website, we do 3 events a year. The one coming up in October is our Bacon Fest, but the best way to find out about all 3 of the events is to go to our master website, which is www.smithfieldvaevents.com, and we can also be found on Facebook at Smithfield VA Events, or our Twitter is #SBAEVENTS. So that is our social media stuff. But yeah, we're gearing up big for the Bacon Bourbon Fest.
I think it's great too because during the summer, families are going to the beach, the pool, they're being around the air conditioning for the most part. But the fall, they're looking for things to do on Saturdays, and this bacon event is really a lot of fun. And it's amazing how popular bacon's been in the news the last several years. People do everything with bacon, desserts, food, everything.
Yeah, and you've seen locally some other bacon events pop up, but ours is a little bit different. Being in Smithfield, we are the pork and bacon capital of the world. So most of the other bacon events you see locally or even nationally, you go and there's food vendors there or restaurants there, and they're giving you little tiny tidbits of some sort of bacon-type appetizer. You get some small morsel of something to taste. At our event, thanks to Smithfield, who is our presenting sponsor, we cook over a ton of bacon. And when I say a ton, I mean literally a ton. It's 2,100 pounds of bacon. Everybody that comes to the event gets a half a pound of bacon. It's about 8 slices once you cook it. Nice, thick Smithfield bacon. You can eat it the way it is, hot off the grill, or you can take it into what we call the bacon condiment bar and dress it up and turn it into a BLT wrap or make bacon nachos out of it. We've got shakes, seasonings that you can shake on it. We've got dips that you can dip it into. You can turn it into dessert with chocolate and syrup, and it's just kind of a crazy little thing we do. But you actually get big pieces of bacon at our Bacon Bourbon Fest. So, right. And that's on top of some really cool bourbons that we have.
Absolutely. Talking to Gina Ippolito from this big Bacon Fest coming up, and really there's something there for everyone.
There is. It is, just to be clear, our events are all 21 and up, so this is not a family event. It is strictly adult. And unfortunately, general admission tickets to this year's Bacon Fest is sold out. You can still get tickets through. We have a handful of some small business sponsorships. I do have some premium tables that are left and a couple of the big party chalets, if anybody's interested. Or you can also, we do a block of tickets for local hotels, and the Smithfield Inn is sold out. The Smithfield Station is already sold out, but the local Smithfield Hampton Inn and Suites does still have a handful of rooms left that you can add tickets to your package. So that's always a good idea because most of our events involve some alcohol, so you can, not have to drive home if you're coming from, somewhere out of the area. And we do have a free shuttle that will pick you up from the Hampton Inn before the fest and take you back afterwards. So there are a handful of ways you can still get to this event. So
yeah, and Gene and I do these interviews to keep it informed with the public, transparent, live, local events, so people can look forward to it, and kind of like a friendly reminder. When you get a wedding invitation, it says "Save the date." We're basically saving the date. Joe Daniels got the screen up there right now. Smithfield VA Bacon Bourbon and Beach Music Fest, October 1st. Remember a couple of years ago, Gina, how hot it was that day? Hopefully, it'll be a little cooler this time.
Yes, it was. The first year we did this, it was hot. And unfortunately, last year we had to cancel this event because if y'all remember, we had the big northeastern storm and the hurricane off the coast, and we got like 14 inches of rain in 2 days, and the winds were like 40 miles an hour. It was crazy. But that just means we're going to have great weather this year. Mm-hmm. But there are lots of other things going on in Smithfield in the fall that even though you can't get general admission tickets to this event, there's a great music event that's the weekend before Bacon Fest. It's September 23rd and 24th. It's called Aiken and Friends Music Fest. It is a fabulous event, and the songwriters and the round concert they do at the Smithfield Little Theater the Friday night of that event is absolutely something you don't want to miss. And then the weekend after us is our Smithfield's the tourism department puts it on, and it's called Town and Country Days, and it's got a lot of different. There's a vintage market. The VFW does a breakfast. There's a hog jog. I think it's the 14th or 15th year for the Smithfield Hog Jog. We have over 1,000 runners that run that event. There's the courthouse does a courthouse drama, and there's all kinds of stuff going on that day. And those events you can find ours too if you go to visit smithfieldva.com and click on their events page. You can get a listing of everything going on in the fall in the Smithfield Isle of Wight community. So, and then we've got the Isle of Wight County Fair is in the middle of September, so it's busy.
So yeah, next month we'll talk about all that again. We'll remind people again of the big event October 1st, and we'll highlight some of the winter stuff as well. Gene, all the best to you and your family. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend.
You too, and happy last few days of summer.
Yes, and we will talk to you next month again. Look forward to it.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Gina. All right.
Bye-bye.
Very good. Thank you so much. Before we get to what teased me off, the premier buffet in Hampton Roads is open, Tokyo Grill and Buffet. They've got all kinds of Chinese, Japanese, hibachi, sushi, and American food. They pretty much have everything on this buffet. Great lunch and dinner prices, located at 49 West Mercury Boulevard in Hampton. They have takeout as well. They sponsor working with the food bank, so they are generous supporters of the food bank as well. That's Tokyo Grill and Buffet in Hampton. And, of course, a locals tradition is CP Shuckers with locations on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime ribs, seafood, and much more right there on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. And of course, they showcase the NFL, NASCAR, Major League Baseball, college sports, golf, soccer, tennis. Like both locations on Facebook. Log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers. Great appetizers, burgers, pasta, seafood. Go by and see Chef Leon at Shore Drive and Matt and Mark at both locations. Of course, your summer hotspot is CP Shuckers, your football headquarters as well. Let's get to what teased me off.
What tees you off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
All right, this is what teased me off. Of course, we have a little fun with this too. The whole 2016 season of Langley Speedway, what a PR disaster. From the people crying on Facebook, silence from the previous owner, silence from the ownership, just a PR disaster. Guess what? There's no Langley Speedway season. I'm always a firm believer the best race to go to is the spring race in Richmond, the NASCAR event. Board members with an agenda. I don't care if your friends are not board members, whatever club you're a part of, don't have an agenda because not everybody's buddy-buddy with every board member. Colin Kaepernick, please remember all the men and women in uniform, past, present, and future. The chant Wilson Ramos of the Nationals, they always say, Wilson, Wilson. It sounds like Dennis the Menace. Enough with that. Joe Daniel, you'll like this one. Too many fitness centers. It's all about health. But every time you drive by these humongous fitness centers, JD, they're all empty.
Yeah. They're either all empty or they have a Cracker Barrel right outside.
Exactly. I mean, really, I think it's just easier to walk or swim or ride your bike because fitness centers are saying, well, $1 a month, whatever, a penny a day. Nobody's going, not in the summer at least. The expression, Joe Daniel, we hear this all the time, double down. I mean, really, think of something else besides double down. And a 2.0 version.
Yeah, 2.0.
I mean, really, what's wrong with the 3?
Get all techie with it.
2.0 is not even a B. 3.0 or 4.0 is an A. But anyway, want to thank Jay Paterno, the exclusive guest right here of Sports Scene, former Penn State assistant football coach, son of the legendary Joe Paterno. Thanks Sonny Dearth for putting it in the Daily Press and being a guest here on Sports Scene on 1650 AM, tunein.com, type in WHKT, watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. My background is on gjbtv.com, and I'll be going to 1000 Degrees Neapolitan Pizza in just a few moments on South Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. I want to thank Joe Daniel for all his great work for the producing the live show and the archiving, what he does with his time and talent and treasure. Real quick, Joe, when is your show coming up?
September 17, Picking Up the Habit, right here on AM 1650 on Saturdays at 11 to 12.
Right, and what Jay Paterno said a lot was very relevant to your show is we're all creatures of habit and consistency, but also evolving as well in life. We all have to evolve.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to thank our great guests as well, our great sponsors. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link. Greg Bick on Twitter. That's GREGBIC, and all my great Twitter handles. All powered by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. We'll talk to Dave Kane, the voice of Virginia football, next Wednesday. For Joe Daniel, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you soon.
The best of News Talk Radio in Hampton Roads, AM 1650, WHKT Portsmouth. We are the answer.